Hey folks, Libby here once again. Hope you are doing good out there. Hope you enjoyed my last videos on Gotham Season 1 and 2. I think I just did three snack videos and a pickups video, pickup 49. Hope you enjoyed those. I hope everyone's having a good week, had a good week. And staying warm because, well, here in Georgia lately it's been getting really cold. Mostly it's been like, maybe like in the 30s a little bit. But yeah, I had a good week at work. Not a great job, but hey, pays the bills and stuff. But anyway, welcome back to another Batman video, y'all. Y'all know I'm on phase 2 of my Batman marathon, the TV shows. We've been on Gotham, which I did a TV show collection for and gave my thoughts on in third episodes of the first season. Now, hopefully you guys can see and hear me. One of my Batman shirt like I always do in these videos. Yep. Sorry for any glaring. But this time in this video I'm giving my thoughts / favorite episodes of Gotham Season 2. Yeah. And what did I think about the season? I did have some issues with it, but overall I love Season 2. Probably my favorite season of Gotham, to be honest, yeah. I mean, the first one's still better. There are issues, like I said, with it, but so far I'm still really enjoying it. I still think it's a great show so far. You know, there's new villains, new characters in this show. New villains, new characters to add into the second season, the new plots and stuff. So, but yeah, some new characters and villains, like I said. But really good season and a really good story. It has like, they start titling them like Rise of the Villains. Well, this is Rise of the Villains. It's the first half of the season. Second half is Wrath of the Villains, I believe. So they start giving the seasons those titles. I don't know why. They just do. Yeah, the first half of it, and I said, yep, second half title, yep, like I just said. Alright, but since we're 22 episodes, only pretty 2 okay episodes I have. But anyway, forget that. I'll get into the the premise of this season, of Season 2 of Gotham, is that here in Gotham Season 2, Gotham has taken a major turn, with Penguin now being the sole crime boss. He's basically now the king of Gotham, and Commissioner Lowe being forced to retire. However, things start going haywire with the arrival of the Gallivan family in Gotham, that is, Theo Gallivan and his sister, Tabitha Gallivan. They seek revenge against the Wayne family of one of their ancestors being disgraced. And then in the second half of the season, Professor Hugo Strange, played by B.D. Wong, has begun experimenting with resurrecting the dead and giving them unnatural abilities. Also, Gordon is framed for murder by Edward Nygma, who goes more into his darker side, and he does some stuff, you know, including more murder. And also you found out these monsters at Indian Hill, which we found out in the first season was called that, like it says, run by Strange. You found out some of the monsters are including that Hugo Strange works for the mysterious Court of Owls. So that's all in Season 2 here of Gotham. Alright, I'll go ahead and get started with my favorite episodes. So, yeah. We got all night. But I don't want to be here all night, so, no, I'm just kidding. Sorry, I'm bugged by this webcam sometimes. I'm probably zoomed in here. So I'm just picky with stuff sometimes. Try to make the webcam perfectly. But anyway, I'll go ahead and get into my favorite episodes of Gotham Season 2. So, starting with, the first episode is Damned If You Do. This is where season 1 left off. You see Bruce and Alfred enter, this cave through the fireplace. They discover this lock, Bruce and Alfred go into this cave. They discover a locked door. Bruce is trying to push buttons to get into it. Later on he tries to, blow it up, which works, but he can't get into it. It makes him more mad. And Alfred doesn't think he should go in there. His father must have killed us here for a reason. Gordon, a month later gets reassigned by Commissioner Loeb to traffic duty. Gordon is just, directing traffic. And he's still, of course, with Lee. They're still dating. They're living together now. And, well, have been, I guess you could say. But Gordon is, directing traffic. This guy, he's like, I'm Zordon with a sword or whatever. And Gordon has a fight with the guy, knocks him out. And there's one cop, lazy, fat, overweight cop who eats too many donuts, shows up and, Gordon, pushes him or whatever, and Gordon, sees these two people about to, these two thieves about to, so he's points a gun like this, don't even think about it, He gets in trouble by Commissioner Loeb later on about it, and Loeb basically fires him, and he's like, I'm sorry, Captain. He found out also that Harvey Bullock has quit, and has started working at a bar, opened a bar basically, become a bartender. And like I say, Oswald is now the boss of organized crime because Fish, Fish Mooney is considered dead. Baroni, of course, is dead, and Falcone has retired. And went goes to live down south. So Colbert has taken control. He kills some of Falcone's men, I guess, has them shot in the head, or whatever, And then him, and of course, Butch is under that mind control, so he has to do what he says. Barbara gets incarcerated at Arkham Asylum. I do like it, though, the scene, though, where, Jerome is there, too, because he killed his mother. He's talking to Barbara, like, maybe you need protection. And Barbara, it tricks his brother, like, hey, big guy, will you protect me? So much other was like, He's like, now I have a friend. And I don't know Barbara the first season, but I liked her here. I like how more psychotic she is. Barbara even tries to, from Cyanus, the one that, he was the guy that, was doing this legal fight club and Gordon called him, but he gives Barbara a phone and she calls Jim to apologize. Jim just ignores her. She tries to call Lee and says she leaves a threatening phone message to Lee. Yeah. Also, when Zordon comes in, he's like, I'm Zordon! Barbara, Jerome, and Science, all those inmates just look at him like he's crazy. Later on, he passes out. He has this, this gas coming out of his mouth that's blue, and it makes them all pass out. And then Tabitha Galligan shows up, and they keep them in, gardener's traps or whatever. And Theo Galligan tells them what his plans are, that he plans to unleash these legion of horribles, or the maniacs, is what they call them, and that he wants them to commit these crimes or whatever. Cyanus, however, refuses, so Tabitha kills him, because Theo Galligan's like, everybody in the world sees you folks as crazy psychopaths, but I see brilliance. But of course he has more of a backup plan for doing it. Of course, he wants them to wreak havoc in Gotham City. Gordon, wants his job back, so out of desperation, he goes to ask Penguin for a favor, and Penguin asks him, he's like, no more, just anything you want, Jim. and he asked Jim for a return favor, like for Jim to collect a debt for him from a guy named Parker, I guess, who worked with Alcone or whatever, refuses to pay Penguin like $70,000, but he doesn't, since Falcone retired. But since he owes Penguin that debt, Penguin wants Gordon to go get it for him, so Gordon tries to ask, Parker, the Barker guy, whatever, about it, and he refused, telling Gordon to get out. They initially kill Gordon. Gordon gets away. This guy tries to kill Gordon, but Gordon kills him in self-defense. Of course, gets the money for Penguin, and Penguin in return, him and Zaz, go to break into Loeb's house. Loeb wakes up at night and they, says, "This is what you're gonna do," and he says no. And since he refuses, Zaz is like to Penguin, "Can I kill him yet?" "No, why don't you make him a cheesecake or something?" "Yes, of course, kill him." It's like, okay, I'll do what you want. So Loeb decides to retire and give the job to to Sarah Essen, who was the captain, make her the commissioner. Gordon does tell Lee about what he had to do, and so much she doesn't agree with what he did, but she knows Jim had his reasons. What I said about the beginning of the cave, in the door, Bruce and Alfred do blow it up with dynamite. Bruce reads a note to about his father, telling about how much he loved him, and about a legacy that that he can either run a company, choose those or if Bruce feels a calling, to be the calling, he should go for it. So him and Alfred decided to start working in the cave on the computer, and the episode ends there. But that was a really good episode to start off with, in my opinion. Damned if you do. Really good episode, in my opinion. Alright. Another favorite of mine is called Knock Knock. And this episode starts off with Mary James, who was kidnapped. He's being tortured by Barbara and Tabitha, who do share a kiss. I would say it's gay, I would say more in a psychopathically sociopaths, lesbians, basically. But not for lesbians. They just enjoy torture and making out with each other. They basically enjoy torture and pain, and they get a thrill out of torturing or killing somebody. But they kidnap Mary James. Galvin makes, they put his head in the box or whatever and torture him. And he, makes him call his secretary to say that he ran away or he's on vacation or whatever. Or basically ran away. He's not coming back to Gotham. Not going to be married anymore. At first, he thinks he's going to torture Mary James, with a spider in the box, put it in there, but he doesn't. He's like, "There is no spider." Jerome and the other maniacs, they kill a number of people, basically spelling out the word maniacs. Jerome's like, "No, fuck that like this. Put him in the right direction." Okay, kick him off. And he starts having a laugh after doing that. Of course, Commissioner Estes wants to have Gordon arrest the maniacs, go after them. Bruce in the cave while Liam turns on the computer in the cave to find out what his father's suits are, but Alfred out of nowhere I think it picks up a bat or a metal object and smashes it and breaks it. He's like, Alfred, what are you doing? Why'd you do that? He's like, "That's Master Bruce, what was on this computer had your father killed? And I'll be damned if I see you killed next. He's like, and the Bruce is like, Alfred, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired. You know. And he's like, very well, Master Bruce. I will pack my things. Later on, when he packs his things, you know, Bruce says, you know, to Alfred before he leaves, all really good references, though. Even though Alfred has good reasons, but basically it is Bruce's house, technically, and it's really his choice to live on that computer. It wasn't really Alfred's choice to make, but I can understand why Alfred did it, though, mainly because Bruce is young, and he just wanted to protect him. That's all Alfred has been trying to do ever since Bruce's parents has died, is to be his guardian and look after him. You know, doesn't want nothing to happen to him. Tensions rise between the maniacs, between Jerome and Robert Greenwood, who they play with a sword, and he's like, you're in charge, and, you know, Galvin makes him play like a little game of Russian roulette with a gun with one bullet in it. You know, one does tease, and, you know, it's like, and Jerome proves that he's in charge with one gun for times, like, this proves I'm in charge. Got it. Yeah. And then Galvin's like, you know, Jerome, you are in charge. Bullet, you know, refuses. You know, he's also dating a woman named Scotty, I think, who he met in the first season, or his fiancée, but he refuses to go back to the GCPD, even though, you know, they tell him, you know, Commissioner Essence, you know, even says that, well, you know, Bullock's a cop. He was born to be one. That's who he is. But however, he just chooses not to be a cop, not choose to deal with some of the stuff he did. He just doesn't want to be a cop anymore. The maniacs eventually they hijack a bus full of cheerleader girls, spray it with gasoline, and it's going to set them on fire. You know, Jerome makes them do some cheers, you know, while laughing while he does it. Puts more gasoline and starts the fire. Gordon is able to eventually stop it because one of the men, you know, they're leave behind about to start the fire, and they're trying to find out, you know, they want to ask the prisoner guy who fired him, but Tabitha, who has a rifle, shoots the prisoner down, takes this guy down, kills him. It's Dawkins, yeah. Well, Gordon drives the fire from the bus away from the fire, saving the cheerleaders. Bruce runs over to the station like you should have. First, going to go back to England. He tells him, you know, look, Alfred, you gotta respect what I gotta do, but you're the only person I have right now. It's like, and then Alfred's like, you know what? You're gonna do what I say and respect my rules and what I say, because I'm your guardian, Master Bruce. It's like, okay, but you have to respect my decision, because I'm, you know, growing up now. It's my house. You know, him and Alfred come to an understanding of sorts. Alfred then goes to Lucius Fox, who doesn't know if he can trust him, and Fox lets him know, assures him that his intentions for Bruce Wayne are good at heart, that he can trust him, and they have a drink. He's like, good. He's like, seeing that he trusts Lucius, asked him to fix the computer that he broke. Gordon ends up getting a call from Barbara Keene. She turns out to be in the building. Gordon follows her to an alley. She's like, hey Jim, and she has this big guy who she was a friend in prison, gives Gordon a good beating and knocks Gordon out. And Barbara Thompson was like, you better get back, Jim. And when he's bloodied and bruised in the face and just all knocked out, you know. And then the maniacs break in, with Jerome going undercover as a cop, and just laughing, and the massacre happens. All the cops get shot and killed. Jerome starts, enjoying it, tortures the, Commissioner Essen. He's like, when you die, little man, nobody will remember you. She even hits Jerome in the face, headbutts him, and his nose, and Jerome slaps and does kill her eventually, stabs her. But he makes a video saying, you say psycho, you say insane, but we're free. He starts to laugh and just, Lou is able to survive. Nigma, who, you see throughout the first episode, Nigma's starting to his darker side, and he still wants to date, Kristen Kringle, but Kristen Kringle gets nervous. Nigma jumps in to save her and saves her life. Lee is like hiding or whatever, but she ends up being safe. When Gordon finds his body, tells her he's sorry, he shares a few last wherever she sadly passes away. Bruce visits Gordon because he told Gordon, that, you need to do your job better. He said something to him, if you have to go do these things to get your job back, go do what you gotta do. And, Bruce just comes to check on him and says, Gordon, are you, Bruce? He's like, to tell Gordon you're okay, and then, he just gives him a hug, apologizing for what he said earlier. Bullock returns to the JCPD, and I like it when he says, Jim, we're Jim, deep down we can't deny who we are, can we? I'm a cop, that's who I am. That's what he says to Gordon. Then the episode ends with Gordon Bullock watching the videotape from Jerome saying they have not seen anything yet and what they're going to do about this massacre. But overall, really good episode in my opinion. Yeah. And then another favorite of mine is called The Last Laugh. The GCP recovers from, Essen's death. Gordon Bullock, you see them in the beginning, beating up these criminals and throwing one of them. One doesn't kill them, just maybe throws them over a few feet, but the guy doesn't die. And they want to find out about the maniacs. They're, just doing what they gotta do, even beating up suspects to do it. They decide to go to Jerome's father, but Jerome beats him there by talking to his father. His father tells him, you're a psychopath, and your legacy will be that of death. Children will be scared at the mention of your name. You're a symbol of fear and madness. But Jerome kills his father by stabbing him in the eye. I think, right eye, I believe. Jerome gets sleeping gas, and Gordon gets a piece of it, and Jerome shows up and knocks Gordon out. Theo reveals to Barbara, giving her breakfast, telling his true plan is that his family built Gotham, that they somewhat knew the Waynes, is a bit of a past history, and that his family was, I guess, disgraced, and he's out basically for revenge to reclaim his family's name in Gotham. But I like it when he says that But when he tells Barbara that I will get revenge on this, he's like to Barbara, bread? Or something like that. Tries to give her some food. Oh, I forgot to mention about Selena. Well, Selena, of course, becomes unfriends with Bruce because Alfred, who found out in the first season that, of course, that she killed Reggie in the first season. He was the man that was sent by Wayne Enterprises to steal some files from the Wayne Manor, and that she was the one that pushed and killed Reggie. Alfred punches Selena in the face, literally just punches her in the face like this. That was for Reggie. And it's like, you know what, my friend, Mr. Bruce is better off with you. So you be on your way, and you're not going to be friends with him again. So go away. And Selena gets over, she's like, okay, I'll do that. There's going to be a Gotham Children's Hospital at Gallia, and Lee is running the idea of it. It's a Children's Hospital Gallia or charity event going on. Lee is going to be running it, and she just has to have like a magic show or have a magician, and they get Bruce excited for it. I like it when they first meet Lee. Alfred, who could blame him? Alfred, suddenly just finds Lee very attractive and starts to flirt with her. And even offers her to take her out to dinner. But she's trying to tell him that, I'm in a relationship with Jim Gordon, that she's in a relationship. Anyway, this party starts, and you find out that Jerome and Barbara, of course, kidnapped or killed the magicians, and now Jerome's going undercover as him in disguise. Bruce encounters Selena, who he says, I haven't seen you like in a month. How you doing, Selena? She tells him that she's working. Of course, Jerome and Barbara are in disguise as magicians. They get Bruce to come up there to cut him in half. Not literally, but for a magic trick. Alfred is nervous at first, but then when Lee sees Barbara smash well, she recognizes her. Then called Jim, and she gets kidnapped, and they tie her up and gonna play a game. And when Jerome throws himself, he starts even torturing people and waving a gun around and being crazy as he is, because he's basically the Joker of the show. But Jerome reveals himself by killing Deputy Mayor Kane by throwing a knife into his chest. Alfred gets kidnapped also. Bruce does come for him, and Bruce is like, Jerome, you can have me. Barbara gets ties Lee to a spinning wheel. Says like, me and Jim are gonna be together, and there's nothing you can do about it. Lee hits Barbara in the face or headbutts her, and she, and Barbara's almost ready to stab her until, until Barbara stops, until Jerome stops her from stabbing her, and says she punches Lee in the face. He does capture Bruce, having a knife to his neck. Gordon decides to show up, and he's got his guns pointed out. Even, Alfred's got a gun too. until, you know, Theo Galvin walks up behind him and says, "How dare you do this?" and stabs Jerome in the neck with a knife. And basically this was Theo plan all along to release the maniacs and become a hero in front of the camera, which does work. Barbara escapes through the trap door. Bullock goes to confront Penguin in the episode about the rumor something that Jim did a favor for him. Penguin, of course, denies it. You know, he tells, Bullock says to, him, you know what, Penguin, you can go ahead and kink yourself King Gotham or whatever. To me, you're just an umbrella boy, you know. And he still, wants to get even with Penguin for Fish's death. Tells him he'll come after and beat him up if he threatens, Jim again. He'll come and beat him up and come after Penguin. And this makes Penguin mad. Alfred does, another flirt with Lee, but not what happened before that, though. They thank Theo for his actions, especially Alfred appreciates what he did. Again, Alfred tries to flirt with Lee, but then at the moment when they see them kiss, him and Bruce and Alfred walk away, and Alfred's like to Bruce, "Master Bruce, you didn't tell me that they were together." Alfred, you knew it, Master Bruce. I didn't know. I thought that was funny. Barbara kisses Theo on the cheek, where they end up kissing after they talk about Jerome's death. And Jericho's vision comes true that his legacy will be of death and madness. And at the end you see his smiling course with echoes of people watching him on screen, after, the GCP massacre of his videotape, and people just laughing as, Jericho's legacy of him was right. But this won't be the end of Jerome, as we would again see him in season 3. So that was the last laugh. Another favorite of mine is Strike Force. This is where we have like I said, we got new characters, not just new ones, but new characters as well. What we have is Captain Nathaniel Barnes, or Barnes, if you will, played by Michael Chelsea. Now, if y'all remember him, he has been in superhero stuff before, like he was in the Fantastic Four movies, the 2 Tim Story movies. He played Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. But in here, his character Barnes shows up, and Barnes is pretty much like Gordon in a way, or kind of what Gordon would become in the future when he'd be commissioner, or the man that he would be, but he walks in there in GCPD, the officers are arguing with each other, even Gordon's having an argument with an officer, Barnes walks in, hit with a chair, throws it down, he's like, "Hello everybody, I'm your new boss, I'm your new captain, 10-4, and they'll do this." He's like, "Stay there when I call your names." So, he gets the list of names to all these cops. He's like, "All these cops are dirty, you done illegal stuff." He's like, "You're fired. Get out of my precinct." And he arrests one of them. He tells him this: "I'm not here to play around. He's not here to play games or anything. Barnes means business, and tells him right away, if you do illegal things, if you're a dirty cop, and I find out about it, I will investigate you, and I'll put you in prison. We will not be running this like this." And Gordon is just happy to see this finally done. And Barnes talks to him and says, "Gordon, let's talk. I've read your record, good record, you're a good man, Jim. If we work together, maybe we can make working in the city better, for us to do justice around here." And he makes Gordon his second in command. And Barnes decides to go to the police academy for new cops before they get corrupted. Like when Gordon, you see that police academy that he trained at, a picture of him with his class. That was pretty cool to see. and they have this new group, and this new group start taking out bad guys. So, and I did like the Strike Force team. They were good kids. One girl, she knocks out a guy in a boxing. That was pretty cool. She might not be tall and big, but she knows how to fight. Mayor RBJ was still missing from the public. And with Mayor Harrison Kane dead, you have some new people running in for office, like Janice Caldwell and Randall Hobbs. Theo Gallivan kidnaps Caldwell's mother. Well, first he wants to talk to Theo wants to talk to Oswald Caldwell because he's the king of Gotham since he has connections. He tells him that he wants to be mayor of Gotham, that he needs Penguin's help to do that. You know how he wants to build Gotham, his vision, and even though Tabitha says you're king of what, because Tabitha will visit him out first, and he tells him, well, don't you underestimate me. I suggest y'all not do the same, because Maroni, Fish Mooney, and Falcone, they all underestimate me, and I suggest you not do that same. So they kidnap. Oswald was like, good day to you, I'm going to help you out, bye. But they said, Oswald, why don't you come here and watch some TV? And they see him on TV screen. When they, open up the TV, turn TV on, you see it's a video of Penguin's mother, and they have her captured, and locked up in a cell. And Penguin sees the kids like this, he's like, you're going to pay for this! And he blackmails Caldwell to murder. He wants Oswald to murder these candidates. Caldwell, since Butch is still under his control, they wear these masks or whatever. Penguin goes to this woman, Janice, this candidate. She's like, I'm a mother. He's like, I have a mother too, and he starts stabbing her in the throat. And I thought it was funny. Bush is like, we'll go with everything. Okay, folks, just calm down. It's like, all right, folks, I suggest you be good. By the way, I have your names and addresses here, and I will kill you, come after you and kill you if you say anything. So, good day. Doesn't know why Oswald's doing this. He just goes along with it, just does whatever, or remember has to do whatever Oswald says, because he's under that mind control. Victor Jazz decides to come and kill Hobbs. Walks in there, he's like this. Oh, I like your pen here. Tries to shoot up after him. The Strike Force tries to go up against Jazz. Jazz doesn't get shot, but walks away. He's able to get away. Oh yeah, you already mentioned about Sleeping Call being warned by Alfred to stay away. Bruce ends up meeting with Theo, thanking him for saving his life. Bruce then looks over down and sees this girl playing, girl about his age, just playing outside, and he's like, this is my niece, Silver St. Cloud, and that she will be attending his school. You see that Bruce has a crush on her, which Theo actually has planned for his niece to, to make Bruce fall in love with her. And after saving Kringle's life, decides to ask her out. He's like, Miss Kringle, date here, but she ends up going to Nicholas' apartment. They have a date, because remember he killed Tom Durfee. He does say, by in the middle of the dinner, he's like, I'm glad he's dead. Dead? We talking about he just ran away? I mean, just a figure of speech, And Nima kind of talks to himself. She thinks he's kind of like a weirdo, but before she does anything, they take their glasses off, they share a kiss, eventually sleep together, I guess so. Gordon attempts to confront Cole about it, finding out, saying he was a short man. But Cumberbatch reminds him of the killing that he has done. Gordon says it was self-defense when he killed that guy Parker, but there was no witnesses. And you see, just pretty much just, throwing a glass to the fireplace and screaming in pain, screaming in agony. But also a couple more begins to have Butch search for the location of his mother. And Barnes' next target, of course, is to arrest Cole by himself. But overall, great episode in my opinion. And another favorite of mine is called Sacrification. Butch and Penguin bring Gallivan a chest that has Zib Berndarsol, who was the man that was, chose winning the prize to Reggie go over to steal the Wayne files as a gift and ask if he can let his mother go, who's to work for him, and if they can be friends, but Gallivan refuses. And Tabitha also, cuts out one of Sid's eyes. Gordon and Barnes eventually buzz one of Cobalt's money laundering houses. Gordon talks to him about internal affairs or whatever, but, warning him about them, but Barnes is like, well, you know what? Internal affairs can kiss my tailpipe. We're going to do what we're going to do. And that moment though what Barnes does make me laugh. In here. Yeah. Gallivan arrives with the GCPD, says he's going to run for mayor. Even gets Penguin to take a shot at him, and you have to miss, which Penguin does. But in order to doing that, he asks, Gordon to back him up or to help him support. But Gordon says no, refuses gently, just saying, cops and politics just don't go together. It's just not my thing. Tabitha, goes to go and they want to hire arsonist. Butch ends up contacting Selena. They talk about, what he did to Fish. He said, I shot her for an uncertain reason. They go to a group of arsonists called the Pike Brothers who know what they're doing. And of course they have a sister, well, I guess adoptive sister or whatever, Bridget Pike. And Bridget is a friend, from Selena's childhood. One of them just, a friend of theirs, one of them is, with the Pikes, decides to go steal the dynamite, but he gets read about GCPD, and the guy tries to shoot GCPD, but they shoot at him. He's got the dynamite. Gordon shoots at him, and the dynamite blows up in the guy, and the guy's pants, and he blows up and dies. And I thought it was funny, when Barnes reacts to it, Barnes is like, man, what are you packing? I thought that was funny. But then, of course, after that, the Pipe Brothers says that they're going to have to use Bridget for this mission, for their next job. She's like, no, I'm going to be no part of arsony and all that stuff. She's like, and, her abusive brother, one of the abusive ones, is telling her, hey, we're your family. What you going to do? You going to live on the street? So she's like, okay, I'll do it. Enigma ends up inviting Gordon and Lee to have double date with him and Miss Kringle. Bridget infiltrates the Wayne Enterprises building using Sid's eye. She does get burned a little bit. She's like, well, when you play with fire, you get burned. Cobblepot eventually opens up the vault. When he gets it, Wayne with a knife, he goes to this lady, Edwidge, who was an antique shop. She knows a lot about history, and Cobblepot wants to ask her about it, but she refuses to tell him. He's like, now you better tell me about this, or don't force me to use the knife on you. She believes that in the 19th century, the family ruled the High Council of Gotham. That was the Elliot, the Kings, Crone, the Dumas, and the Waynes. During a party, Caleb Dumas and abused Chester Wayne. Part of his arm was then cut for punishment by Sylvie's brother, Jonathan, with the same knife. The Dumas were named as a religious sects, the Dumas. Their properties belonged to the Waynes, erasing them from history and forced to change their surname to Gallivan. So basically, that's what Gallivan's reason is. His goal is to get revenge on the Waynes. Cobblepot, wants to know the location where his mother's at, so he needs Butch to convince him that he's turned on him. He's like, boss, he's never going to believe it. Oh, you see, where this ever going to do it? He grabs Butch's hand, Penguin grabs a butcher knife and stabs Butch's arm off. Butch is like, as a scream. She almost gets arrested. This time she has like a mask or whatever, her Firefly costume basically. And she kills a cop by accident until Selena saves her and they get away. Gordon changed his mind and decides to support Gallivan. Gallivan gets raised by Father Krill, who hands him the knife, claiming the Warriors are on the way, and then they're planning to kill Bruce Wayne, and the episode ends there. Basically, you find out, Father Krill is that they're the Order of Saint Dumas, but I'll get more into that later. Alright, another favorite of mine is called By Fire. You see Butch in the beginning talking to Gallivan and trying to convince him, but his hand's getting cut off. He's like, okay, Gallivan buys it, so you can work with us. Barbara's, of course, first skeptical, suspicious about it. They also kidnap a congressman, forcing and torturing him to support him, and he does. Given, of course. Gordon and them try to find out who the person responsible for killing the officer, one of the striped horse, but it ends up not being that one. Bridget ends up having a rough time after having killed the police officer. She ends up with Miss Selena, but she continues to feel guilty about it. Her and Selena decided to go through this robbery. She feels bad for these girls who were kind of beaten and tortured almost like she was. Once out by Selena's like, no, come on, we need to get out of here. And Selena's like, you killed the cop, you gotta run out of here. You gotta get out of here. Her and Selena do have a talk later on in the episode. She's like, I'm glad somebody cares about me. I appreciate it. But Bridget kind of makes her own weapons, become her own arsonist, and get revenge on her brothers. She tries to leave her brothers and capturing her, Selena plans on rescuing her, but she's ended up being found by Gordon, who's able to find out that it is Bridget. And he promises Selena that, he'll help. He promises he will. They torture her with firecrackers. Are just really mean and abusive to her. Bridget, she's like, okay, I'll join you. But Bridget, tired of it, decides to go get her costume and stuff and flamethrower and just ups and murders her brothers. Just uses the flamethrower and burns them to death. Gallivan, ends up finding out that that he's really still working for Penguin, trying to find out who his mother is. So they said, Butch, you need help. So, he gets Tabitha to, Tabitha has conversations or whatever throughout the episode. One of the other episodes, he said that, Butch might have a thing for her. But anyway, she beats and tortures Butch. And in doing so, saw someone on the floor. But anyway, she tortures Butch and she ends up getting him out of mind control. Bridget, of course, decides to keep being Firefly, an arsonist, and hopes to help people, but and I do like the moment when she even gives her a hug, for like a last goodbye. They go to the slave ring. They try to capture Bridget, but she wants to fight back. Eventually, Bridget ends up getting burned. He thinks she dies, but she gets into Indian Hill to be tested on, as you figure out later on for the end of the season. Gallivan wants to help Bruce with cleaning up Wayne Enterprises. Selena, has a shotgun to point it at Lee, and when Gordon shows up to tell her about what happened, she's mad. She's like, she never trusts a damn cop. She gets mad. She has to apologize. Enigma and Kringle with their relationship, try to move on to the next level. They go sleep together. She tells him that she's worried about her ex-boyfriend Tom Nursery coming to find him and, kill her, but he's like, I killed him. I murdered him. I stabbed him one night. And she's like, that's not funny. Ed, that's not funny. He's like, you're not joking. He just, Ed pulls out the badge, Nursery's badge. She's like, oh my God, you murdered him? Yeah, because he was hurting you. I was at your apartment and she thinks they shot him. She's like, oh my God, what am I thinking? Am I out of my mind? Kristen freaks out. She's like, you are a horrible person. You are a psychopath. And he's like, don't call me a psychopath. Ed says, and she's like, yeah, you deserve to go to jail, and I'm going to report you. And before she his door's locked. She tries to leave. She even hits Enigma. But Enigma holds her kind of, and before she tries to scream, grabs Kristen's scalp and goes to her. And he says, he's like this, I did it for you, I murdered for you, because Kristen, I love you. And he chokes even more harder, chokes her to death, and accidentally kills her. And she dies in his arm, and, he ends up shouting and crying in grief, and Nemo starts yelling and crying for what he did, and holding, and cuddling Christian's dead body. Yeah, and overall that was the end of the episode. So, yeah, a good episode in my opinion. And then another favorite of mine is called Mommy's Little Monster. Butch ends up leading Cobblepot to a warehouse in the port where his mother is. They find Gertrude there, but Tabitha and Galvin show up, and Theo show up. Cobblepot, automatically orders Butch. He says, "You do what I say." He orders them to shoot Tabitha and Gallivan and Theo, but Butch ends up shooting the other two men working for Oswald. And since he's no longer in his control, Oswald begs him for his mother's life, and he's like, "Okay." And so, he gives him the keys, and they let the mother out, and Oswald was like, "Everything's okay, mother." It will be. He gives his mom a hug. But then Tabitha, and then as they're trying, Penguin and his mom are happy, hugging each other. This shock look comes to her face. Gertrude gets stabbed in the back by Tabitha, and Penguin's like, "No!" And this is a really sad scene. I thought, I thought this was like a really great performance by him. He starts crying. He's like, "Mother, I'm so sorry that this happened." He's like, "Oswald, why are you crying? My dear boy Oswald." He's like, "I'm sorry." Starts crying. Because his mom, and Gertrude sadly passes away, and Penguin, just gives her a kiss on the cheek. And I thought it was a really sad moment, but and Theo's like, "Well, okay. The two are now, kill them both, put the bodies, dump the bodies wherever." And then, Penguin calls him a coward. He's like, "You coward, you come from a family of cowards, you don't have the guts to kill me yourself." He's like, "Okay, Penguin, I'll go for the gun." He's like, "You need what last words?" He's like, pulls a knife out of his mother's back. When Theo's not looking, he's like, "Yes, I'm going to kill you." And then stabs Theo right here, like in the arm. Nemo begins to suffer nightmares after killing Miss Kringle. His personality, the evil lad, I guess fans call it, and his outer consciousness, subconscious, basically takes Christian's body and hides it in the GCPD, leaves himself a riddle. So his subconscious gives him the something. You need to go find Christian's body before somebody does, and you get caught. Gallivan gets elected to mayor of Gotham City. And then he claims, the knife wound that he has, or, I think, he gets everything in the throat by Penguin, but he claims that, he tried to help ask for Penguin's support, but Penguin just attacked him. But, Jim Gordon finds him very suspicious, just sort of suspicious about Theo Gallivan. Bob Penguin just up and stab him. He wouldn't really do that. I forgot I mentioned earlier in one of the episodes when Penguin finds out about his money laundry's, been taken away from him, and he beats, he beats to death one of his guys up. with a pipe or something like that. Barnes gets an arrest warrant from Harvey Dent for Cobblepot. Selena is a prison booth who's also introduced to Silver St. Cloud. Selena and Silver threaten Selena if she visits, tells her to go away, or whatever, and that makes Selena mad. They have like tea together, and then Selena's like, "Oh, this coffee is really good, almost like a slap in the face, huh, Alfred?" And Alfred's like, just walks away. Selena's like, so you put on Silver's act, and Silver puts on that sweet girl act or whatever, and he tells Selena to go away. "You're not my friend if you do that." So then just walks away, of course. Gordon pursues Butch. They reveal to Bullock that he may have found some links between Gallivan and Mary Jane's abduction. And, Jim seduces that suspects that Peter Gallivan will release them and had this somewhat planned. But they get ambushed by Victor's ass and his men. He's like, "Can you come out, please?" "Okay, I guess that's never mind." Shooting at him. But Bush gets away. Butch, of course, tells them about Gallivan being behind Mary's abduction and all that stuff. But they do try to go with Barnes about it. Barnes is like, proof. Butch is a criminal. You can't really hang on with whatever criminal. So there's really no solid proof. Name begins his own evil. It's, a corpse. He gets discovered almost by Lee, but he kind of manages to talk to Lee and just talk her out of there. Sooner or later, Nimba's conscious starts talking to him, and his subconscious, somewhat kind of, he embraces his evil ed, as you can say, and his other evil basically becomes him. And Nimba just has a break and starts laughing, like, evilly. That night, though, Gallivan organizes a victory celebration, knowing that Cole will try to kill him and that maybe, they have a lot of snipers. Penguin does this very strongly where he has other people dressed up like him. Penguin has these imposters. Martinez gets killed by Tabitha. He tries to point down at her, but she kills him with her heels. Stabs him in the throat. Gordon gets in front by Penguin. He's like, "Oswald, put the gun down. You can't do this." He's like, and then Oswald says, like, "He killed my mother, Jim. If you knew he's kind of man you were protecting. He stabbed my mother, killed my mother right in front of me. That changes a person. You can't trust this man." And as Mary Gallivan is like right behind Jim, telling him whatever, he's like, "Commissioner Gordon, Detective Gordon, I'm ordering you to put that man down now." He's like, "I know." And Gallivan's like shocked by it, but before anything can happen, even Harvey walks up behind Oswald with a gun. He's like, "I'm sorry about your mother, Penguin. Put the gun down." Tabitha has a sniper. She shoots Penguin in the arm. Penguin ends up surviving though. Gets out of there. Sarah kisses Bruce. Then you see like this sorry look on her face, and Selena sees that. Gordon ends up starting to investigate Gallivan if he confronts him for that shrimp cover pot. And he, at a frame, Christian Kramer's body, prepares to dispose of it by cutting her body up. And that was the end of this episode. But overall, really good episode in my opinion. Then another favorite of mine is called Tonight's the Night. The episode starts with Barbara having a dream about her wedding rehearsal with Gordon, and people laughing at her, and Oswald being the pastor, willing to be married in this dream, and the psychos are laughing at her, and she just is waiting to get back at Jim Gordon, get back at Lee and all that. Gallivan figures it's time to his plan to attack on Bruce, so he gives Barbara permission to kill Gordon. Barnes, Gordon says to Barnes about, the escape from Markham Asylum, the massacre at GCPD, the gallows shooting was all organized by Gallivan. But Barnes is skeptical and demands proof that he doesn't believe it. There's no proof. We can't accuse our mayor of that. Barbara then appears at the GCPD turns to offend. Lee doesn't trust her, but Gordon thinks he can play her by playing a game. He even kisses her. I'll show you what Gallivan is. I'll show you what he's planning. And they go to this bus meeting, or, not this bus meeting, no. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. But anyway, they go in the police car, and, Barbara offers to, show him, but Barnes doesn't like it, tells him to turn away. Instead, they refuse to listen to Barnes. A truck ends up hitting them, and it's Tabitha wearing a mask, of course. Tie him up, and she puts on a wedding dress and kidnaps Lee as well. You're like, Jim, you should have married me, you should have loved me. Deep down you're like me, you're a monster too. You just can't admit it. You do love me. You never loved Lee. And meanwhile, Enigma buries Kramer's body in the woods. A hunter comes up, singing up on him, and the hunter can see the creature Kramer's leg or whatever, foot. And so Enigma, hits him with a shovel and kills him. He's like, now I gotta get rid of you. Later on, though, he finds that somebody like his sandwich or something like that, and he says to follow the tracks. Gallo ends up meeting with Bruce in his penthouse. In exchange for Bruce telling you the Wayne Enterprises shares, he will give him the name of the man who killed his parents. And he considers it and thinks about it. He talks to Alfred about it. Ball also has a sawed-off shotgun. But eventually Harvey's able to find out on the interrogation tape Barbara's at this church, GCB show up. Tabitha even gets a shot or something in her arm. And after that, Barbara, and Jim fight up on the top of the church. Barbara's like, I love you, baby. She falls her death as you think, but just ends up in the hospital. Ends up going to Arkham, back to Arkham, and in coma for a while. Barbara survives the fall. They take Gordon eventually, and the Sharpers go to the chimed out where Mary James is, and he reviews Gallivan's involvement. They will testify in court. Bruce is asked to, decline the offer. Just then Gordon and the Sharpers walk in and say, get away from him. Bruce punches Gallivan in the face like, what's the charge? The kidnapping of Mayor Aubrey James. And Gallivan gets arrested and sent to prison. And he throws the paper in there, the vial, in the fireplace. And, Bruce is like, no, I'm going to ask you to kill her. No! And then back in the woods, it's nighttime, and Enigma discovers Cobblepot, who's in a camper with a shotgun. And he's like, help me, and then passes out. He's like, oh dear, Mr. Penguin. And the episode ends there. I might have to switch phones here in a second, y'all. And another favorite of mine is called A Bitter Pill to Swallow. Tabitha ends up going to this bar where it's something we've seen about a woman who, there's a lady, offers, basically wants to hire an assassin, and they have assassins, and she puts a hit on Jim Gordon, basically not just for out of revenge because she's mad at him for hurting Barbara. So she hires these killers to go after Jim. Basically, lady hires assassins to go kill Jim Gordon. Jim finds out about Barbara, that she survived and is, of course, going to be sent back to Arkham Asylum. Enigma, Cobblepot wakes up in Enigma's apartment. He's too freaked out, so Enigma sedates him to put him back to sleep so he can rest. Bruce wants to talk to Silver about his parents' death, who the killer is, who she knew, but Alfred, pushes her to go away. He doesn't trust her. But Silver gives Bruce her hotel key. Leading Gordon to she gets tense because she saw him kiss Barbara. Somewhere, there's very jokes, but thinking he might still somehow have feelings for her. Meanwhile, Gordon goes to the penthouse where they're going to look for evidence on Gallivan to convict him in court. But, Gordon ends up running into this man in an elevator, and this man attacks him. Gets like a bar and starts, choking Gordon. Him and Gordon fight. Gordon knocks him out, drags him right into the Gallivan's penthouse like, this guy's just trying to kill me. Whenever he tries to question about it, Gordon almost, prepares to throw his ass outside. But, Gordon's like, hey, don't do that. We do not beat this like that. Don't do that in front of my face, Gordon. And since the lady finds out that he's not dead, sends more assassins after him. And his name is Billy Boy. The officers apparently kill the hitman. Billy Boy starts to killing the officers, but Gordon shoots him through the glasses, killing the guy. Barnes does get shot in the leg. Him and Gordon talk about, there is no line, there's just the wall. That's what we all wall, and we deserve, justice. That's what separates us from them, from the bad guys. Then the lady sends another hitman called Eduardo Flamingo to kill Gordon. He basically not only murders people, but he enjoys it. He's very sadistic and a psychopath, and basically is in the carnage. He eats people's body parts, or bites them. Coldpart eventually wakes up again, tries to leave, but he can't because he passes out. Enigma starts to tell him about, it's like, I look up to you, I've been started murdering people too. And this is a weird conversation first. Like, well, if you asked, it's like, I didn't ask. And then he gives some advice. Stop what you're doing, quit this life, because, I couldn't even save my own mother. And later on, Penguin in Sleep is, singing this tune from his mother, which, Oswald starts singing as well. Even it has one of Gallivan's men for him to torture, but Oswald says no, just can't do it no more. It's just not worth being a killer. Can't live this life anymore. But, they eventually start to become friends more, singing that motherly song. And, he was like, do you still have one of Gallivan's men in here? That man. And then eventually, you're like, why do you ask? And they pull him out of them, and they go to the knives, and they start to torture and possibly kill the guy. Flamingo kills these cops. Gordon comes out there to face him. There's an intense fight, and Gordon puts a gun in Flamingo's mouth, and Flamingo's like, ah! Like, come on, kill me. And Gordon's like, ah! Because he can't do it. Almost close to that line. But when they take the Flamingo Joe, he kills his officer lady by biting her in the neck, bites her really hard, and, she loses a lot of blood and dies right in there. And Flamingo just laughs about it. And they bury this officer, which is really sad. But, Gordon feels guilty about it. But Lou's like, it's not your fault. But overall, really good episode, in my opinion. Then another favorite of mine is called The Son of Gotham. Also, I'll be right back, folks. I'm going to go change phones because this one's about to run out. Alright, yeah, it was The Son of Gotham. Okay. Gordon eventually visits Gallivan after the death of Officer Parker, who was killed by Flamingo, and tells her, even Gallivan, eventually, gets him to assist her about what she did, ruining his plan. And he even laughs, like, there's a killing you after all, isn't there, Gordon? You just want to really hurt me, don't you? And, he's worried that Gallivan will get off. that he made a mistake. But, she's like, no, you didn't do anything wrong. You did the right thing. You didn't kill him. You didn't murder. Murder is murder, The order of Saint Germain's, or by Father Krill, they end up killing a man, basically cleansing Gotham, as they say. Gordon will arrive at this massage parlor where they, it's a prostitution going on, and the Order of Saint Germain group, they start stabbing people and killing, pimps and all that stuff, start stabbing them to death. They want to question the member about Galvan, but the guy ends up puts himself on a shot, kills himself. They end up going to the sewers. They discover, these rituals, today murders going on over what the Saint Germain group is doing. One of them is blind. The Saint Germain brothers are like blind or whatever, and Gordon pretends to be one of them until somebody says, "Officer's like, who are you, officer? GCPD, you're under arrest." Lee notices Crane was absent. She tries to talk to Nemo, but he lies to her, saying that she ended up going, to live with Tom Dolce or Dolce or whatever. And throughout the episode, though, Penguin also keeps calling him to find out, hey, where's the ketchup at? Okay, never mind, found it. Because he's still staying at his apartment. Mary Jane ends up doing the show. Mary Jane, tells her we did, DA did, that, he wasn't kidnapped by Galvan, that he made it all up, for publicity or whatever. And he says it was Oswald Cobblepot that did it, and that there's no further proof. Galvan is released, and he says, Gordon, I'm sure we can be friends and make this up. And basically, Gordon gets mad and punches Galvan in the face because he, assaults the mayor and gets in big trouble for it. Gets assured by police. But the police men end up being Galvan's henchmen. They tase Gordon. They wake him up at the docks. And Galvan tells him about his family's history and the Dumas. And Galvan was like, you know what? What the hell? I have some time. Come on, Gordon. Let's go. You got two free punches on me, so let's go. Gordon tries to fight him, but Galvan puts up a good fight and beats the crap out of Gordon. Gordon ends up getting saved by Cobblepot, who, shoots these men down. Bruce and Silver end up getting kidnapped by a guy named Tom the Knife. Bruce gets slapped by him and is going to be tortured by him. Tom says he wants to know the Wayne's killer for his employers. He wants to know everything Galvan knows and threatens to torture them unless they tell him. Silver, you found out she has been faking the whole time, and she's like, do it and my uncle gut you up alive. There's like, oh, Nello, nice to meet you. And you find out that Bruce is leaning up here, and they actually pay Tom, so you find out it's M. Malone who matches Malone later on. They leave Silver alone in the warehouse. Alfred didn't know, goes to Galvan's penthouse to look for him, but Tabitha denies everything, and him and Tabitha fight. I do like it that, she's going to attack him, because Tabitha's got the whip with the tacky wood, but Alfred grabs it and they have a showdown fight, and she ends up chasing Alfred, throws the knife in his back, and Alfred ends up escaping in a garbage truck. An overall great episode in my opinion. And then another favorite of mine is Worse Than a Crime. Alfred ends up finding himself in a junkyard, hiding from Tabitha and her men. Ends up getting junk trapped on him. He gets out later, but and gets help from being picked up by a person or whatever. And then Lucius Fox, is eventually able to, fix his Lane's computer, but nobody's there. Then Bruce ends up getting kidnapped by Gallivan, and they tell him about their final sacrifice, Bruce himself. Gordon ends up waking up in Enigma's apartment, because Peter Penguin kind of punched him to find out where, Theo Gallivan is. He sees them singing together and is kind of like weirded out by it. Lee, wants to tell Barnes, being set up, but there's no proof of it, I'm sorry, Lee, but he just assaulted a man in front of people. He's in trouble now. But he shows Lee about their whereabouts, but she doesn't know. Nima tells Lee where the location is. She arrives, she tells Jim that we just need to leave and go, and she tells him that she's pregnant. Penguin tries to say something, she's like, Penguin, shh. He's like, oh. And they decide to go have a war, save Bruce, and basically have a fight. And, Gordon's like, we're going to arrest him. Penguin's like, no, we're going to kill him. No, we're going to arrest him, we're going to do it the legal way, Penguin. But Penguin, of course, has no intention of that. Silver, doesn't want to do this anymore, but Theo tries to kill him and get rid of her, not being in the Velnor, so he wants her to make her fall. But Bruce make Bruce fall in love with her again, so she tells Bruce, but she can't do it. She's like, I'm going to do Ma. She gets somebody to open the door, she's like, give me your gun. Shoots the guy, they run away, but they eventually get caught by her uncle. And Bruce, of course, has got like this white coat on, and they're going to say, don't say Gotham, and kill Bruce. Oh yeah, but Alfred, instead of having he's arrested, he gets tased by a cop, and Barnes gets on him about trespassing. Bullock goes there too. Penguin and Lee are ready to leave, but Alfred Bullock show up, and Fox and they convince Bruce, help him find Bruce, which he does. I'll leave the scene with that where they get their shotguns, their guns, and go save Bruce. They tell the Dead Warren brothers, stop, and there's a shootout. They kill them all down. While they lose, though, Tabitha and what's his name? Tabitha and Theo try to run out there and get out. Has Father Joe tries to attack. Says, indeed it's not over. He tries to jump and stab Gordon and kill him, but gets shot by Bullock. And he's like, that was a lot of stairs, man. They try, they don't have to use parachutes. He's gonna like kill Silver, but she doesn't like the way her brother's acting, so Tabitha turns on him and leaves him. And meanwhile, he gets, before Gordon can arrest him, Barnes shows up to arrest him as well, but gets knocked up by Penguin, because Penguin hits him with a lamp, and they take, and Cobblepot and Gordon, go Gallivan to go kill him. Cobblepot beats him to death with a baseball bat, Gordon stops him, shoots him, and Penguin ends up sticking an umbrella up in his mouth, cutting him there. Gordon ends up meeting Lee in the park, and he proposes to her. And Theo's corpse is brought to Indian Hill, where he'll be experimented on by Hugo Strange. And you also see in the background Fishman's corpse is seen. And then at the end of the episode, you see a man flees from someone from a dumpster, revealed to be Mr. Freeze. And another favorite of mine is called This Ball of Mud and Meanness. Cobblepot ends up in prison, ends up going to Arkham Asylum, gets tortured by Hugo Strange. He imagines watching himself beat his mother. He gets served ice cream at dining hall, so Penguin's one of those tortured, really doesn't hurt a fly. He starts to change. These experiments start to change Penguin as a person, basically. Bruce gets the gun from Selina because he asked her for it, because he intends to use it to kill Matches Malone. Lee ends up showing the paychecks to Kristen Kringle from HR or whatever, and Enigma, he has Enigma about it, and Enigma doesn't say anything, and Enigma's like, "You're gonna catch me." "I don't think so." And he thinks Gordon is on to him, so he comes up with a way to get Barry Gordon to set him up. Bruce and Alfred end up finding about Matches Malone's partner. They agree that, Bruce won't kill him. He's like, "You're going to have a death on your hands. I'll kill the man." They end up meeting a partner of his a man called Cupcake. And, him and Alfred have a fight. Alfred, even though he gives punches and beats up to a pulp, Alfred ends up winning by doing a chokehold on him. He goes always like, he's like, "Mr. Cupcake, you're a well fighter." And then Alfred just passes out, ends up in the hospital, but Bruce leaves him there to go find him. He tells him to he goes find Jerry, who is, of course, Laura Petty. Laura Petty, if y'all remember her, she was in a superhero movie as well. She started in a superhero film, I believe, Tank Girl, which I've never seen, but I want to check that movie out someday. But anyway, I remember her from Fair Willie, and also she voiced Livewire in the Superman, the animated series. So she's done superhero stuff before and loved other movies. She's a very good actress. And here she is just, I could see her as Harley Quinn, though. Man, Laura Petty should have been Harley Quinn. If they, in the 90s, if we would have had another Batman movie, late 90s, I think she could have been Harley Quinn. In my opinion, she still is a better looking Harley Quinn, still a better version, than Margot Robbie, in my opinion. She asks us about her matches. But I was like, "You ever kill anyone, kid? Come on, shoot me that thing. See? You can't do it." And I was like, "Matches to kill plenty of people. Men, women, children." Yeah. Before Bruce can leave the club, though, he runs into Gordon. Gordon tries to stop him. They're like, "Gordon, you stop here." Before, they do anything, Laura Petty, creates a distraction, Jerry does, and she gets arrested, and he's like, "You have time to clean up the body afterwards." She laughs about it. Matches admits to killing Bruce's parents, but he was contracted because of Assassin's Code. He won't reveal the identity. Bruce is close to killing him. He even tells Bruce, "You know what? I've done so many bad things. Go ahead and shoot me. Do me a favor, kid." He's like, "Aim a gun like this and kill me." He reveals that somebody hired him, but he won't reveal the identity of it. Instead, he takes the gun himself and shoots himself down. Alfred ends up finding a note from Bruce, and one of them understanding that he will live in the shoes of Selina, learning how criminals think. Cobblepot gets a release from Arkham Asylum, because he's declared sane. Name wants to outsmart Gordon. He draws a green question mark over his face that he's going to outsmart him, of what he would become, of course, the Riddler. So, but a really good episode in my opinion. Alright. Another favorite of mine is called Mad Grey Dawn. Yeah. In the Gotham Museum of Art, Enigma uses a decoy bomb to still a painting called the Mad Grey Dawn. Leaving green spray painted marked with the painting wounds. He kills Gordon by allowing him to tip out from that Gallivan, that he, that him and a couple killed Gallivan, that he shot him or whatever. But Gordon, of course, denies it. Cobblepot eventually visits Butch and Tabitha, apologizing to them what they did. She tries to even bug Oswald about his mother, but Oswald just laughs about it. And he's just basically a fruitcake now. And he's like, no, let him go. But they put feathers and stuff in him. He goes to visit not Gordon, to tell, Nigma that violence and anger are not the way to go. Should change. And Nigma's like, no. Nigma just kind of gets Penguin to go, because he doesn't want to go that way. These other painting marks has, the question mark painted on them. Nemo continues more of these crimes behind their backs and investigates more. He gets the signature from one of these other police officers from the strike force. Bruce and Selena try to, what would that be, to go steal from Butch's nephew Sonny, who gives Bruce a beating. But somehow he liked the beating and says, like, it just felt like nothing. Pain is nothing to me. I like pain. Cobblepot, Oswald went to visit his mother's grave. He encounters a man named Elijah Van Dole, who, played by Paul Reubens, who you find out is actually Oswald's father. And I like that. It's funny because if y'all know, now Paul Reubens, of course, is known for playing Pee Wee Herman, but he was also in Batman Returns, but he also played Penguin's father. So, in Gotham, was awesome. And, I even wanted to show, I was like, you're Gertrude's son? Wow. But she never told me she had a son, a kid. He tells Cobblepot to his manor to meet his wife and his children named Charles and Sasha, and he tells Oswald, you have a family, you can live with me now, and gives Oswald a hug, and Oswald cries. But, he tells him that his past with Gertrude, that they dated, but she ended up leaving him. Gordon is investigated by internal affairs about, this suspect. Nigma ends up visiting, Carl Pinky, and eventually, Nigma murders him, and with the murder weapon leaves it with Jim's fingerprints on it. And he investigates. Barnes ends up investigating. Says that the other one's a crowbar. He's like, your fingerprints are on it. He's like, Gordon, you broke my heart. He treated Jim like his son. He's like, I trusted you. You broke my heart. And then Gordon ends up getting a 40-year sentence in prison. At the end, you see Gordon, telling, a crying Leslie that to leave him, forget about him. He's like, what about our baby? What about, birthdays, first steps, all that? He's like, you forget about me, Lee. Gordon thinks that he deserves to be in there. And tells her to not contact him again. He gets letters from her, but she doesn't. She moves down south after that. And then another favorite of mine is called Prisoners. You see Gordon adjusting to life in the Blackgate Penitentiary in this prison, just to see everything getting up. Barking, being out in the yard, doing laundry in the prison, and going to bed and doing the same thing over and over again. The warden tells Gordon that he'll be transferred to a new station dubbed the World's End, but there's a prison population where Gordon put some men there. Gordon nearly gets beaten up by one of the men, but Gordon doesn't want to fight him. He just wants to do his time, in there. Gordon gets told that Lee lost the baby, and she's laid low, I guess. Gordon is further attacked by inmates led by Henry Weaver. He's defended by a guy named Pug. Pug is being as well, and Gordon's like, don't be my friend, kid. You don't want to be friends with me. But he tells Gordon that you saved my younger sister, you're a hero, and he's like, I'm no hero, kid. But he ends up meeting with Cormac Falcone to ask him for help, and Gordon gets stabbed by the inmates after they have a movie night, but you find out it's all a setup, and Bullock and this other officer, is helping them out, and Gordon pretends to punch him in the face, and him and Buck get out of there, and he tells him down a little bit, he's like, I won't go visit Lee yet, I need to find the man who set me up and put him in jail. But he's not done yet. They'll go back to Gotham, but lay low. And he stays with a Bullock. Meanwhile, the Cobblepot reveals to his father, because his father, Paul Rubens, has like an issue with sleepwalking. He takes pills. He's got like an enlarged heart, so he's a lot of health problems. He tells his father about his problems. He's like, I forgive you, Oswald. He passes. Then they tell him about being the Penguin, and he's like, wow, you call the Penguin? Wow, son. He's like, I've already forgiven my son for his past. He's not that man anymore, are you? And I was like, no, of course not. He's like, see there. He wants to change the will to give Oswald the house and everything, all his possessions. He accidentally, he's like, I'm going to try this, but what about your health, Dad? What about your health? I was like, oh, the hell with it. And he has a drink. But then, his father, Paul Rubens starts choking, and you find out he's been poisoned. He dies right in Oswald's arms. Pug, I forget to mention, succumbs to his wounds and eventually dies. But Gordon says he's going to find out who the person is, what they do to him. But, yep, that was my favorite one of the episodes, Prisoners. Then another favorite of mine is called Into the Woods. Bruce and Lena steal money from a thief. Bruce, throws some of the money out. So he's like, why'd you do that? It's like, I don't steal money, Selena. I don't do that, That he's just doing research on the crime. But that just angers, makes him mad. Barnes knows about the escape and was talking about it. He's like, if you're shoving him anyway, give him a glass of water, I'll put you in jail. But at all time, Hugo Strange decides to release Barbara after she shows her signs of illness, that she's feeling best to observe her new behavior, then experimenting on her. So she goes to visit Jim, and later on, I think, Bullock reveals that they record tips, and he gets connection. You see, this one Diane who is, who Harvey dates or hooks up with. You see him making out with her or whatever, about to do this. But of course, he gets the record, and Jim walks out of there. Decides to go to Newman to test it. Edward says he finds out evidence. He calls him a psycho. Newman's like, what call him a psycho for? Like, well, you remember a man in cold blood, that's definitely a psychopath. And him and Ed have a talk, well, what if he deserved it? but you killed Galavan, so who are you want to talk? And he's like, Ed, did Caldwell say something about that murder? He's like, no. T? And then they listen to the radio, the sound of the tape. And Gordon realized that Nimrod's the culprit, pulls out his gun. He's like, you set me up. You know why? Laughs about it. He's like, the clock. That's the answer to the riddle. And he, gives Gordon a shock. He knocks him out, and he's going to take Gordon to the woods and kill him, bury his body. But Gordon escapes. He chases Gordon like, Jim, where you at? He does shoot at Gordon. Gordon ends up going to Lynn's place where Bruce is at. They take him back to the Wayne Manor so he can lay down. They wake up the next morning, have to find a strategy to take out Enigma. They lower Enigma out to see where Crystal Crim's body is at. About 12 physical out of the woods. So Enigma goes back there in the snow. And, Jim shows up and like, Edward, how did you become this way? How did you, poor little Ed? Well, this is me now. He's like, how about one more riddle? Before he says to kill him, the cops, GCB show up. They hear everything because he just confessed to these murders. And Enigma, of course, gets caught and arrested and sent to Arkham Asylum. Meanwhile, they attend Elijah, Enigma's father's, Oswald's father's funeral. He cries, and instead, they can't really do nothing with Oswald since they left the estate to them, so they decide to make him their servant, slave basically. But they shoot poorly, Salsa and Chase, very much Salsa tries to seduce Oswald, but they beat him and throw food at Oswald, like, oops, throw him and torture him, food at him. But Oswald's able to find out that they poisoned his father and, kills Grace and Sasha and makes food out of them as he tells, but Sasha tastes much better in my opinion. And when she realizes that Oswald's back to being the Penguin, Grace is figured out, but too late. Oswald just goes down and starts stabbing her. Barnes apologizes to Gordon about all of this and gives him Lee's number in the medical examination in the cell. But Gordon decides before doing that he wants to find out Wayne's murder to investigate that. Who was Max's mom worked for, who really was the Wayne's killer. And then when someone knocks at his door, it ends up being Barbara. Gordon helps the cops out, but he's not really fully a cop yet anymore. Then another favorite of mine is called Pinewood. Gordon sees a visitor in Barbara. He was at gunpoint demanding her know she was at all of her son. She says that she's sane now, that she can help him, but he refuses her and tells her to leave. She sees Harvey's like, hey Harvey, how you doing? He's like, Barbara, what? Jim! Gordon is investigating the lady, tries to go in there, but can't because they, Liv wants to get him not to go in. So Barbara says to help him out. At first they, get Jim, knock him out, and they find information about the killers or whatever. So at least I helped you out, Jim. And Jim tells her, I'm your friend. I don't give a damn about you, Barbara. Just go away. Barbara goes crying back to, Tabitha, and she's just laying down. But Gordon refuses to forgive her for what happened at the church, for trying to kill Lee. Bruce, Lee, Alfred, and Lucius slowly appeared at a meeting Bruce's father tended to have made a woman named Karen Jennings, a place called Pinewood Farms. Bruce and Alfred ends up arriving at the shack, discover Karen, who she has like these dinosaur claws from the experiment that she cuts Alfred, and she tells them about it, that she knew his father, that he did create Pinewood. He drew strangers doing these illegal experiments. He learned over some, but he's creating monsters, and what he loves to do is create experiments out of people. Manipulating people is what he does. And he decides that he needs to kill her, so he gets Victor Fleiss, Mr. Freeze out there, who I'll talk about him in another episode, but gives him a suit, as Mr. Freeze is chasing them down. Freeze ends up killing her because Karen says to give her, so he's like, thank you, Bruce, so much for what you did, and he gives him a hug, and, Freeze just frees her and just kills her. Karen does kill one man with her claws, which I thought was pretty cool. They find out who the philosopher is. That is Hugo Strange, so he has something to do with it, so they want to investigate him. And they resurrect Theo Galavan himself, who believes himself Azrael, and the episode ends there. Another favorite of mine is called Azrael. I know, a long video, y'all, just bear with me. Having been resurrected Hugo Strange, Theo Galavan now believes himself to be Ezra, but the Lord sent him on, believes that his Lord or his Master is Hugo Strange. He's about to kill Strange, but Strange convinces him and tells his people they don't do anything. And he gets him to convince, gives him enough. He's like, here, take this sword and kills this man. It's in the briefcase, but he hits the man with the briefcase, one of the loonies, and that was funny. He's like, I know what I had in mind, but take it out of the box. And he gives him an armor suit. Gordon has talked with Hugo Strange and knows that, I know what you're up to, Strange. I can read people too. And he says to have Jim Gordon killed. Sends Azrael on him. Dingma, who is in the prison, overhears Strange and Peabody complaining about Gordon's interference, and he suggests that he can help them out. And then he figures out all about stuff about these inmates, and it does help him out, eventually. Gallagher first, Barnes, okay, I do like Barnes, he can be funny at times, but here, in the next season especially, he kind of becomes a dick, a jerk, basically, because he gets on to Gordon about his life, not about his life, but saying, I trusted you, you're never going to be better, you're never going to run things or whatever, but Azrael shows up. They try to fight him, gets stabbed nearly, he runs from these cops, gets shot. Bruce looks at him and, takes a little inspiration from that, I guess, or is intrigued by what he's seeing. Azrael ends up seeing a poster of Galavan, causing some of his memories to return before shrugging it off. Azrael shows up, he kills 3 officers and tries to kill Gordon. However, Gordon and Barnes escape to the balcony. Barnes fights with a pipe against him. Sees, Galavan's dead. Galavan's like, no, I'm not dead, and he stabs him with his knife. And he ends up in the hospital. Bullock has to take over as acting captain. Azrael tries to leave, but Gordon shoots him multiple times. He falls off the building, laying on a TV van. Of course, the whole public can see it now. But Azrael's not done, as he still intends to kill Jim Gordon. So, that's Azrael. Then another favorite of mine is called Unleashed. This is where Gordon Bullock, the police officer, has arguments on. They try to inspect Professor Strange's office, but Strange is one step ahead of him, gets shreds all his evidence. And they tell him that they're still going to investigate him no matter what. And, Hugo Strange's like, I already talked to you, you were not a police officer anymore, so I'm ignoring you. Ezra tries to get a new sword, and then he's like, you don't have a sword, so he kills the priest. Bullock gives a speech, which I thought he gave a good speech. Gordon Bullock talked to Tabitha. Tabitha takes the sword from Israel, tells them about the history of it. They arrive at the cemetery. Eventually Ezra arrives, attacks them. Tabitha tries to stop her brother. But Azrael, stabs her. It's like, no remains traitor. So I guess he remembered, maybe in some of his subconscious of being through that his sister betrayed him. So Azrael just stabs and tries to kill his sister. Penguin also hears about him being alive. So after killing his stepmother, after killing Grace, just leaves. And Butch is sad over this, and he's like, "You're not going to touch her." And Penguin's like, "Why would I do that?" Like, that's because, that's because she stabbed my mother in the back. He's like, "But Butch, we can kill him ourselves. We can get him." Selena infiltrates Alchem because, to find her friend Bridget, Firefly. Nigma is trying to escape. Nigma tries to get out of the hole. He's like, Little Meese was right, but he gets captured because they found he escapes, but he doesn't get that far. She overhears James and Peabody talking about Israel. Ezra says that he's going to kill. He tries to fight Gordon a little bit. Takes Gordon out. Tries to come and kill Gordon. Gordon, like a badass, shoots him a couple of good times until Penguin and him show up with an anti-tank rocket, and they blow Ezra up, killing him for good. Selena discovers a training room. Burned dead bodies. Bridget, Firefly, starts to shoot at her, and the episode ends there. So I guess Strange knew about her being there and sends Firefly to kill her, and the episode ends there. And then another favorite of mine is called A Legion of Horribles. Selena now inside the room, Bridget is using her flamethrower to try to kill her, but Selena manages to knock Bridget out and tries to even get out of that room. Bruce gets visited about Ivy, who's like, "What? I gotta go find Selena." Bullock talks to the press about Ezra's death. Says we can't do nothing about it though. Ezra dies. I mean, not Ezra. Jim says that he should go arrest him. I was like, we ain't got no proof. We ain't got nothing. I have nothing to go get. My hands are tied. They test a new patient named Basil Grollo, who can now stretch his skin. Stranger used him later in another plan that he has. He performs a resurrection test on subject 13. Jada Bennett Smith comes back as Fish Mooney, and she comes back from the dead. She's like, "My name is Fish Mooney, bitch," and realizing that person still remembers stuff that he's doing it. You find out that, of course, he's working with the Court of Owls, talking to the lady, the head of the Court of Owls, telling him that we're going to blow that place up, and you move your patients and all that stuff. Bruce is, after he's mad, Bruce for essentially they're getting into trouble, but they plan to somewhat go get her out. So Strange and, Bruce and Fox have to go visit him, but Gordon going in pretending to be like an undercover cop or undercover guard or whatever, and Bruce talks to Strange about his father, eventually reveals his true intentions. He's like, "What a shame, Bruce," and they tie Bruce and Fox, and he meet Gordon. Fish Mooney finds out that she can control people by, touching them. She can tell them what to do, and they'll do whatever she says. Gordon is taking Strange, who, is an artifact on his head. Moments later, they take the artifact, put it on Manface for Basil, and Basil has his face like, yeah, hi. And, Hugo Strange laughs about it. And meanwhile, Enigma, is going to torture Bruce and Fox. And that's the end of the episode. And then this is the last episode of the season. That is Transference. The GCPD rabbit Artemis Allen ready to blow the gate up. Suddenly Basil, as Gordon and Danny walks in, Gordon, they say, okay, let's go, everything's fine. He's like, yeah, Harvey, everything's fine, partner. Meanwhile, Strange, has to detonate the bomb and Shorty and Hill. He talks to Jim by putting a truth serum in him. And, Gordon admits to feeling guilty and all the bad stuff he did. And they talk about the Secret Council, of course, the Court of Owls, as you can presume. Basil is Gordon's identity, tries to reveal everyone that he's Gordon, but you find out, the way he's talking about Lee and stuff. Even Barbara suspects he touched the bar. Barbara slaps him, and half of his face is coming off, realizing that he's not Jim Gordon. Neville makes question answers to Lucius and Bruce. They get, Wayne and Price, of course, runs in it, but who runs in the end, this place, and he's going to test them out. But eventually, he puts Stigma back in his cell. The prisoner's transfer begins in Arkham, where Mooney falls to touch the orderly hand, so she is unable to manipulate people. She's able to manipulate Miss Peabody, able to get her to try to turn on Dr. Strange, and Dr. Strange just knocks her out and sets the bomb and timer her up, and says to get out of there. Yeah. Also, after killing Grace, Payman says to use her head as kind of like as a view, I guess you can say. He apologizes to Selena. Selena's ever convinced Bishop Firefly to be her friend, her servant. Strange ends up meeting with Mr. Ritter and Bridget, and they almost prepare a fight because she does psychology on them, because he's about to tries to freeze Selena, but him and Firefly have an on fight with fire and ice. Eventually Strange gets in the way. Gordon talks to him, and then Strange ends up getting arrested at the end. But they destroy the bomb as well, because the bomb can kill a lot of people. They get water to destroy the bomb. After Strange gets arrested, Mooney, by the way, escapes with the other crazy convicts, including a clone version of Bruce Wayne. Gordon tells Bruce that he's going to leave and go find Lee or whatever. And but is going to be acting captain for now. And Bruce intends to keep on investigating and finding about the Court of Owls. And then when the Bridge shoots a big machine gun. Bridge shoots a machine gun at the armored truck and the bus. And Fishman, who walks behind, Penguin's like, no. She's like, shh. Goes him, and Penguin passes out. And she just winks at Butch. And it ends with that boy looking like Bruce, and they thank the woman for freeing them. And that's how Gotham Season 2 ends. But I'm going to go quickly for 2 episodes. One is the Mr. Freeze episode, which I thought was okay. This is where you see Victor Freeze freezing people. He's using those test subjects to save his wife Laura. He's trying to get pills for her. And I just didn't really care for this episode. I just think that this show kind of... The issue I have with the season is they're forcing villains in there. And in the episode, Damon feels no cold. But, Noah freezing us up in GCPD. They take her to Arkham. Of course, Victor comes over and makes a deal with Hugo Strange. But Nora decides that she wants to die, that she can't live like this. So she kind of ends up killing herself. And then he tries to kill himself, but at the end, Victor Fries ends up becoming Mr. Freeze, having to live under sub-zero temperatures now. That's why I'm going to quickly do that, because honestly, I didn't care about the Mr. Freeze episodes. I didn't really care for the actor playing Mr. Freeze. Honestly, I think I like Arnold better, and the episode Heart of Ice was better. I didn't care about Mr. Freeze in here. The actor, I think, does a good job. And same thing with Firefly. Even though I like the episodes, I just think some of these villains are kind of forced in here a little too much. I do like Hugo Strange and Enigma and all that, but it just feels kind of cluttered in my opinion, with this show. That's my issues right now with this show. Why are you cluttering so many villains in? You're rushing. Feels like the show does rush a little bit with that. But overall, it's still a good season. Gotham Season 2. I'll give it 5 out of 5 stars and a thumbs up, despite those issues with Mr. Freeze episodes. It's still a great season. Still awesome. Still probably my favorite season of Gotham, to be honest. I did have some issues there, but, really good season. Good stories like Dave Gallivan and Hugo Strange. Great villains. Nice to see Fisherman come back. Robin Lord Taylor again steals the show as Penguin. Jessica Lucas, sexy, gorgeous woman. She's good in here. And all the actors are good in here, so I like seeing them going down his evil side more. And I can't wait to watch more Season 3 and him becoming the Riddler. But overall, a really great season of Gotham. Don't know what I'm going to say about it. I know 2-hour video, but I'm done for tonight, y'all. So, thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And tell me in the comments down below, what do you think of Gotham Season 2? What are your favorite episodes of Gotham Season 2? Let me know in the comments down below. Sorry the video was that long. But, next... I will be giving my thoughts / favorite episodes of Gotham Season 3. So, Season 3 will be next. Probably long as well, but Season 3 of Gotham will be next. So, stay tuned for that. And let me know you guys in the comments down below, what do you think of Gotham Season 2 in your opinion. So, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Have a good night. Thanks for watching. Bye.